Okay, so it is 5:05 now. So we are due for a Cherami Leigh panel. So as you may or may not know, she is one of our voice actress guests, and she's well known for her roles as Setsuna in Negama, Kirimi in Aran High School Horse Club, Tamaki in Bamboo Blade, Patty from Soul Eater, Elizabeth from Black Butler, Lucy from Fairy Tale, Hermione from Steins Gate, Asuna from Sword Art Online, Sailor Venus from Sailor Moon and Sailor Moon Crystal, and Pixie Bob from My Hero Academia. So please can we have a big round of applause for Cherami Leigh.
Hello. How are you guys? So I'm going to talk a lot slower than I did yesterday because we have this lovely person here who is signing. So if you, does anyone need to come to the front to sit? Oh yes, good. Well, perfect. You know, if anybody does want to come to the front, there are seats available. So for this panel, I told you guys yesterday if you were here, if you want to do improv, we can do that for the last half of the panel, or if you guys would rather just do a Q&A and you are exhausted, we could do that too. So raise your hands if you just want Q&A the whole panel. And if you would rather do some improv for the last half, raise your hands. Sweet, improv wins. So the last half, I'll set an alarm on my phone right now. The last half we'll do some improv games and fun stuff like that, which will be exciting because I always love seeing what you guys come up with. Let's see how we set an alarm. Hold on. In the meantime, timer. 30 minutes. Go. Okay. The clock is happening. So until then, like they said, have voiced a variety of characters. I've also done some on-camera work. I played Tori in Not Cool with Shane Dawson. I did a web series that my husband wrote and directed called Confessionals. I played, oh, I'm so glad. I played Riley in that. Yes, Riley, not Babenflock, Riley Starr. And then I've worked on Friday Night Lights and Chase and Walker, Texas Ranger a couple of times. I did a movie called Fast Food Nation and The Hottest State and Temple Grandin, and some other things like that. But yes, if you guys have any questions about voice acting, about time in the booth, about voicing a character, even if the question is, did you voice this one character? Let me know. And also, if I'm talking too fast, let me know. Yes. You like thought and she showed up. If I'm not mistaken, you said, what show have I not been a part of that I would like to be in, and what kind of character would I like to be? I would love to do, well, I really just want to work. I love my job. But I think a dream role would be something that involves paranormal aspects, that involves traveling the country or traveling the world, or traveling through time. I think that would be really cool to explore different time frames. So yeah, if we want to just throw it all in there, like ghosts, art, history, pirates, and time travel. So I guess Doctor Who meets Pirates of the Caribbean meets a documentary meets ghosts. That's what I want to do. Yes. Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
So I was kind of wondering, as you're like a veteran voice actress, could you maybe give us some insight into like the whole dubbing voice acting process? Because I'm just kind of quite interested in all that, really.
Sure, yeah. So, when you typically, people think of an actor, it is the stage or film background where you get your lines ahead of time or you read the play ahead of time. You go to the audition, you stand on a stage or you stand in a room with a camera or a bunch of people and you recite your lines and you act the part. When you're auditioning for voiceover, specifically for dubbing, you'll be told to come into the studio or record from your house. They will give you the script the day of, or maybe 30 minutes before, maybe 5 minutes before, and they'll give you 5 or 6 lines, what the character might look like. Sometimes it's a really rough sketch. Sometimes it's a really beautiful picture of something that's already been done because the anime is created. And you get to decide what you think this person would sound like. You might have heard of the anime, you might have heard of the show, or know roughly what the character sounded like in its origin language, but sometimes that's not the case. So you look at the character and say, well, she's got pink hair and she's got glasses and she's wearing a sweater, and in the picture that they gave me she's carrying a lot of books, so she strikes me as somebody who's really smart, pink hair with a bunch of earrings in her ears. She might be kind of edgy, and you kind of create this character and this personality and what you think they might sound like, and then you go in and read those 6 lines and you do it for 3 to 4 characters if you're lucky, and then they'll call and say you got the job. Most of the time you don't know what character you booked or what you'll be working on, and you go in, they preview in Japanese or whatever the origin language is, whatever you're dubbing, preview the scene with the origin language, and then you have the script on another screen right next to it, so you bounce back and forth reading the script for the first time and watching the scene and figuring out what the mouth flaps are doing, and then you kind of guess and hope for the best and try to make it fit on the first pass, and usually you have to do it a couple more times. Or there's an engineer out in the other part of the booth, and he edits as fast as possible to slice and dice and make it all fit. So it is a huge process, and as an actor, we're only a small piece of the puzzle. We always record by ourselves, unless it's Walla, in which case we might get 2 or 3 other actors in with us. So we're relying on the director to tell us where our little piece fits in with the rest of the other actors to create a cohesive episode. So the director is incredibly important because sometimes we don't even know what's coming up or what's going on in other scenes in this episode that we are not a part of. So we need them to fill in the gaps. So it's a pretty fun process. It's definitely an adventure every day. Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
I asked Bryce this question last year, but what do you think of the bloopers that you did? Like, how do you feel about them on the SAO?
So, if you guys saw online, we did Sword Art Online bloopers a couple years ago for the panel, and I think we did a season 2 set of bloopers as well. I don't know if those got released. Season 1 was, those bloopers are pretty adult, some of them. Bryce made a few contributions that I did not know what he was saying or what things meant, and I had to do a search on Urban Dictionary, and I was really uncomfortable when I found out what they meant. Yeah, those were fun. I hope everybody knows it was all in good fun, and it wasn't us trying to be mean or like make fun of the characters or pick on anybody. I had a fan that I met in New York that was really, really hurt by the bloopers and some of the things that they made Asuna say and jest. So I hope everybody knows it was all in good fun, and the characters would never say those atrocious things, and they are still the characters you know and love. It was just silly things that happened in the booth or silly things the director came up with. So if they didn't release the season 2 bloopers, that would be why, because they were afraid of hurting the fans' feelings. So, but yes.
Hi.
Hi.
So I got a request from a friend to ask you. So with Sarada Uchiha, Sarada in English is actually salad.
Ooh.
So my friend wanted me to ask you, could you just say really right in front of my salad in Sarada's voice?
Oh, okay, yeah. Really? Right in front of my salad? I feel like I'm sassing Boruto. I don't really even know what he did. Poor Sarada. It's never poor Boruto. It's always his fault. Yes.
I'd quite like to ask you the question: Who was your favourite character to voice and why?
My favorite character to voice. It's so hard. It honestly varies day by day, session after session. They're all my favorites. And whichever character I just finish working on and I leave the booth, I know what it feels like to not have a job and say, like, I just want to play a character, I just want to go to work and get to act. So every time I get to leave voicing any character, it's the greatest feeling in the world because I got to jump into someone else's shoes and tell a story and play a character. And that one is my favorite until I go into the booth and play another character and I experience that feeling all over again. And I've had life-changing experiences with every single one of my characters. They've all helped me through different moments in my life that have been incredibly monumental. And it's very interesting that they came to me and I got to play those characters when I got to play those characters. Like, I got cast in Sword Art Online, and Asuna and Kirito were experiencing their love story around the time that I got engaged. So that timed out very well. Season 2, when she's coping with loss for the first time, I had lost a family member very dear to me. And so saying those words that Asuna was saying, going through those with her, that experience, was incredibly helpful. Lucy helped me figure out what I wanted to be as an actor and feel like I needed to take more risks and be proud of who I am and really bet on myself because she does that all the time. And I can go on. I have one of these for every single character that I've ever played. And there are moments where I'm in the booth crying just to myself. It's like a little personal moment where it's like the character winked at me and was like, this is what you've been looking for, this is the answer you needed, and here it is. It was just in the session waiting for you. And it happens all the time, so I can't pick a favorite. I love them all so dearly. Hello!
I really liked your work as May in Fire Emblem.
Thank you.
I was just wondering, if you were in a Fire Emblem game as yourself, how do you think you would fight?
Oh, probably not very well. I don't know. It would probably be like an accidental dance fight or a lot of apologies. Like, I like to think that I can be pretty fierce, but it would be like me doing a fight sequence, and it would be very like more ballet fight sequence, and then I would accidentally knock someone out and say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I did not mean for that to hurt as much as it did. Actually, I did because you're a bad guy. It would probably be a lot of apologies and a lot of I'm a lover, not a fighter type of stuff. So I would definitely be a comic relief character in a fight game if it were me. I just don't fight well as myself.
That's good for you because there's actually a dancer class in one of the games, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, there is. So that would probably be me, either a dancer class or a healer class.
Yeah, my question was going to be, was there any particular voice that was particularly painful to voice out? Like, just any character you...
Actually, yes, but it's for a game that I just worked on that I can't talk about what it is yet. But I shredded my voice at the end of every 2 to 3 hour session and had to be on strict vocal rest for the rest of the day. It hurt really bad. The only one that came close to that was I did a character, and it didn't hurt, it just made me really tired. It's any of those like gravelly boy voices that you have to do. And I was playing a billy goat in the show Goldie and Bear on Disney Junior. And his name's Billy the Goat, and he's this adorable little goat with anger issues who sings like Broadway style songs. And having to do that headbutt noise and like goat noise while screaming and laughing and attacking people and then singing a song, it just made my voice really tired. Yeah, but it was a lot of fun.
Earlier you mentioned the process of being a voice actress. What's the purpose of only getting the script just before?
Usually it's not that they're keeping it from us. It's most of the time the script's not done until right before. And also, if it is done ahead of time, sending it out to every single actor when they have multiple sessions a day or multiple sessions a week. We don't know how far we're going to get in a session. So it would be like, well, you have 200 something lines in this first episode. We know you won't get past episode 1, but this person has 40 lines here, 12 lines here, 6 lines here, and asking each actor when they're coming in for 2 hours or 3 hours, please read all these scripts for every single show that you're on. If they're coming in for just a couple episodes and they're just picking up those 3 scripts out of context, they might just be totally confused. Some of them probably would love to read them. I mean, if I'm like a lead in a show and I see every episode, that would be really helpful. But usually, if that's the case, while I'm recording it, I see almost the entire show anyway. So it's kind of just like a trick of the trade that we have to learn the lines as we go. There's also rewrites that happen on a regular basis. So, and that's, I think, not too far from the truth on camera either. Lines change on a regular basis. When I worked with Richard Linkletter, we memorized all of our lines. We got to set. He goes, "I don't like these. We're changing them." And I was like, "Well, okay, great, awesome. Glad I can, make things up as we go." So that's just how some directors work. They're like, "This script is a guideline for dubbing." Those writers slave over those words, but like I talk really fast. Some people talk a little bit slower. And that cadence can affect what the writer's words look like, so they change pretty frequently.
Hiya.
Hello.
What would you say the most fulfilling part of your career is?
Oh, the most fulfilling part is probably getting to play a character that I have no connection to, that I do not understand at all, that I have nothing in common with, and at the end of the shoot, being able to feel really connected to that person and find the commonality between me and that character and realize that we're all not that much different. I also love getting to come to conventions and meet people that say, this character meant so much to me, or I really love how you played this character, I really connected to it, or she reminded me of my sister. I had a woman who said, "I really love the way you play Lucy." My sister's name was Lucy, and that's how I got into Fairy Tale. And she was in a terrible car accident, and she's not around anymore. And so every time I watch Fairy Tale, I feel like I'm spending time with my sister. And it's stories like that where when I record this, I'm in a booth alone, a padded room, like a crazy person. And then I get to come to a convention surrounded by people from all over the world, and they have this same human experience and connection to what I did when I worked on the show. And it's just a really cool thing about being an actor is no matter what language we speak, no matter where we live, no matter what our background is, we all have the same human experience. We all laugh, we all cry, and so when we're seeing other people feeling grief or feeling pain or feeling joy, we empathize with them, and getting to be a part of that storytelling and that getting people to feel more is really fulfilling, and it's one of my favorite parts about my job, especially when it gets me to feel things that I wouldn't necessarily feel. When I watch movies on the plane, I think people always get upset with me because I'm crying on every movie. On the way to New York, I watched 2 documentaries, and this woman kept looking over at me. I was like, she's been asleep the whole flight, and the only 2 times she's been awake, she's seen me crying over a documentary. She's gonna hate me. So yeah, I think that's probably my favorite part. Crying on a plane.
Before voicing Liechtenstein and Italia, did you know much of the country?
I didn't, actually. I was terrified to do that because, as you guys know, it's a very tiny country surrounded by much larger countries with much stronger accents. So we found this great website, which I can't remember the name of it. I'll have to ask one of the directors what it was. But it's sort of like a website where people from all over the world can send in the same few sentences in their accent, and then let people know where they live in that country, and then you can click on the country and hear all of the accents. So we referred to that a lot to make sure that the accents were as realistic as possible. But for Liechtenstein, there were 14 dialects, because wherever you lived in the country, you took on the neighboring accent of the larger country that bordered Liechtenstein. So we had like a united voices of accents of Liechtenstein, and we would say, we'll take the A sound from the west side, we'll take the T sound from, and like just went all the way around. So I was afraid fans were gonna accost me and be like, the sounds were weird. I was like, well, it's not just really one accent, it's all of the accents of Liechtenstein. We wanted to be totally inclusive. So if you ever go there, probably no one sounds like what I did, but we were trying to include as much of the accents as possible, which was intimidating, but very fun. Thank you.
Naturally, like, so many people here have been like, oh my god, it's fantastic to meet you and stuff like that. Huge fan of all different things you've done over the years. But have you yourself ever worked or met someone who you've been a fan of and you've just been like, oh my god, I can't believe it's you?
Yes, so many times. And it's usually when I don't know that I'm going to be working with them. Because usually when you know you're going to meet somebody, you can like kind of prep yourself for it. But I was going to an audition for Fast Food Nation, and it was the first big film that I did, and I was kind of doing like a screen test, and I didn't know anybody was going to be in there. And I walked in, and Ashley Johnson was sitting there. And of course, now everybody knows Ashley Johnson from The Last of Us and all of her video game and animation work. But at the time, I remembered her from Growing Pains and the Annie movie. And I did not know she was going to be there, and so the whole time in my head I'm thinking, is that Ashley Johnson? Is that Ashley Johnson? Am I doing the scene with Ashley Johnson? And I left the audition, and she walked out afterwards. She was like, by the way, I think you're getting this job. I'm so excited to work with you. And I was like, yes, that will be so great, Ashley Johnson. And then I like walked away. I was like, why did you say that? Like a moron. I met Claire Danes when I worked on Timble Grandin, and she was so nice and came up and introduced herself, and she's like, hi, I'm Claire. And in my head, what I did not say, but in my head I'm thinking, duh, I know exactly who you are. I can also list every movie that you've ever been in if you'd like me to do that for you. But instead I was just like, hi, I am here and I'm playing your evil roommate. Oh, I have a name, it's Cherami, sorry. You just like, you have so many things going on in your brain that you kind of forget how to form sentences like a human. But yeah, I kind of had the same situation when I met Chad Lowe. I thought he looked very familiar, but I couldn't remember for the life of me where I placed him. And I feel like that happens a lot. We see these actors that work all the time, and you're like, I know them, I know them. Are they friends of family? Are they on a show? I know they're very familiar to you. He was very familiar to me because I'd been watching Pretty Little Liars the week before, and I knew him as Lucy Hale's dad. But the whole time I was like, he's one of my friend's dads. He's one of my friend's dads. This is going to be really awkward. And I'm glad I didn't say, like, tell your daughter I said hi after the audition, because his daughter's 4. So that would have been, like, really creepy. But luckily I got cast in that role, and I got to then have a conversation with him when I wasn't trying to figure out who he was. So that happens a lot. I fangirl after like really any actor for work that I admire. I think 3 people that I would lose my mind for right now, and I would have to try to be really professional, would probably be Reese Witherspoon and Sandra Bullock and Meryl Streep. I probably would like need a moment to form a thought so I could share it with them. Other than like, you're great. That's a sentence. It's 2 words, but it's a sentence. Technically it's 3. I hyphenated, contracted 1. And I would probably tell them all of that too. Thank you. Hi.
Sorry if this sounds jumbled. If your non-animated film or series created an animated version of it, what would it be and what character would you pick?
Ooh. So a show that's not been animated.
Yeah, like Pretty Little Liars or something.
Ooh, okay. Well, if Pretty Little Liars got animated, I don't know who I would want to play. I kind of would want them to voice their own characters. Because in vice versa, if like one of the animated characters that I played that people thought I resembled close enough, I would hope that they would like consider letting me audition to play the role. So vice versa, if any of those great shows got animated, those really fun shows that we love, I would love for them to give the actors the opportunity to get to reprise their roles in animated form. And if they didn't want to do it and they had to find a voice match, I would be happy to do that. But only if the actor got the opportunity and passed, because I know how much I love the characters I play, and I'm sure for them it's the exact same situation. So I know with crazy schedules that's not always the case. I mean, if they made an animated form of Aladdin when Robin Williams was still alive, that man worked so much I don't think he would be able to play the genie. But I'm sure they would have offered him the chance just because he's legendary. He will always be legendary. Yes, hello.
What was your favourite part about voicing Lydia/Iris Hart?
Probably the zen I felt right after the session. Because I really got to explore two sides of being so sweet and so talking very slow and melodically, and then being really fierce, really aggressive, and saying the worst things in the world. So when I'm done with the session, you kind of just go, cool. I've got all of the sugary, happy side of me out of the way, and I've gotten all the angry road rage side of me out of the way. I'm good. I could just exist as a really peaceful, zened out human being. So that was probably my favorite.
Sorry to come and interrupt the panel once again.
Yeah, no worries.
But could everyone just check their pockets? We've got lost wallets, lost bus passes, lost phones. At the end of the day, we'll keep them safe. Just could you all make sure you've got your way of getting home? We can't keep you here, as fun as that would be.
You can't do a lock-in at the convention here in the... That would be awkward, wouldn't it? You're like, actually just illegal. We would never be allowed back again.
So anyways, I've heard that you auditioned for Miracle on 34th Street.
I did.
Only to lose to Mara Wilson. Mm-hmm. It got me thinking, if you did audition, if you did actually win the part, just imagine being in films like Matilda, A Simple Wish, and Thomas and the Magic Railroad. How do you fit? Do you think you'll be qualified for those films, or do you think you'll be...
You know, I would like to think that I would have been, but at the time when I auditioned for Miracle on 34th Street, that was my very first audition for anything ever. My mom brought me to that audition in that open call to show me how hard auditions were and to show me how miserable it was going to be so that I would stop trying to want to be an actor. And it really backfired on her because it started out with like 1,000 kids and then it made it down to the top 10 kids. And I was in the top 10, and of course, the whole time I'm like, Mom, this is so great. Can we do this tomorrow? And my mom's in the corner like, oh, this was not supposed to happen. So I would like to say like, oh man, that would have been so cool. I would have gotten to be in Miracle on 34th Street, which is one of my favorite movies, and I would have gotten to be in Matilda. But I don't think at 6 years old or 8 years old that I would have been ready to do that. She had been acting since she was so tiny. She was great. And Matilda is one of my favorite movies, and there is no other Matilda. It is and will always be Mara Wilson for me. And that only affirms for me that every role that I get is the role that I'm supposed to play, and every role that someone else gets is the role they're supposed to play. Even if it breaks my heart when I don't get cast in a role that I could imagine myself in, or a film franchise that would have changed my life. When I see the movie and I see the cast and the cohesiveness of the unit of the film, I realize the version of the character that I would have played does not fit in that world, and therefore it wasn't meant for me. So yeah, it is always bittersweet to think about those things and go, man, I could have been in this movie or I could have worked with this person, and then you have to remind yourself, no, that's not the movie that they were making. The movie that they were making needed this person.
Yeah, I'm pleased that you've done sort of those roles.
Yeah.
I'm glad that it's part of the mission.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Hi.
Hi.
Very tough question.
Yes.
Besides Lucy, who's your favorite character?
This is so hard because they're all my friends, and so I feel like if I pick somebody else, they're gonna be like, I'm sorry, what? I think it's probably either Blue or Panther Lily. Every time Panther Lily comes on screen, I'm like, oh, my little precious creature. I love Panther Lily so much. And Blue, obviously, is, you know, my mascot. How can you not love a little shaky marshmallow creature?
How can you not love it? How can you not love it?
He's so sweet. Yes.
Hi there. About confessionals.
Yes.
How much of Riley is actually you? And how much fun did you have making it?
I hope none of Riley is me. We tried to make her as mean as possible, and there were a couple times where I was like, I can't say these things. I feel like people are going to think this is me, and they're not going to want to hang out with me. She's so terrible. So I would hope none of it is like me. I mean, maybe when I'm tired and hungry, I might get a little upset, but I usually try not to get upset at people. I just get upset at situations, usually involving being self-deprecative towards myself, never to other people. So that's probably the case. It was a lot of fun, and I also felt really guilty. Trying to think making Bryce carry all the luggage I felt really bad about. Being so mean to Jimmy I felt really bad about, since that's my husband, but he wrote it and he directed it, so technically he did ask for it. Yeah, it was really awkward. I think, though, the most awkward scene was the kissing scene between Jimmy and Riley, which people were like, that's your husband. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. There's cameras and people, and it's in the middle of a hotel. It was like very, very uncomfortable. It was very awkward. Okay, so that's the timer. Do you guys want to do improv, or does anybody have any last minute questions? Okay, cool. I think we have 2 more questions, and then we'll do quick improv stuff. And you will be right after. This gentleman up here was the last question. Yes.
Hello. Do you have a favorite line and why?
A favorite line? I usually have a favorite line from every session. What is... Well, never mind. I was going to be like, so the last session that I did was for Steins Gate 0, and then I realized this is the episode for next week, and it's one of the last few scenes. So if you're watching Steins Gate 0 on Funimation's site, watch the last Suzuha scene, and I would be interested to know if you guys can pick out what my favorite line from that session was. But let me think of one that you guys might... How many of you guys watch Ruby? Okay, so it's not just one line, it's really like a whole block of lines, but if you've seen the scene where Ilya is kind of telling her story and how she got in, what she's been up to in the time that she hasn't seen Blake, and what's been going on with her life, and she's talking about the girls that she went to school with and how they bullied her, and Blake's like, oh, that's so terrible. And I was bullied when I was in school, and so I was like so emotionally attached to what she was saying, and I could totally get on board with her. And then the last line was, dumping, I broke their teeth. And I was like, that is, I think, what everybody that is bullied wants to say that they did. But when they look back on it, they're glad they didn't. I mean, the people that bullied me, when I saw them at my 10-year reunion and we talked, they were like, I feel so bad, I was so mean to you. And it was because I was really jealous that your mom was always there for you and that you knew what you wanted to do with your life. You always wanted to be an actor, and I hated you for that. And my heart kind of broke for them because I understood exactly why they were mean to me. They thought I had everything, and I thought they had everything. So, you know, as hearing Ilya say that, I'm like, oh, that's such a good moment for someone. But then as somebody that was bullied, I'm like, well, I'm glad I didn't break anybody's teeth. That would have been really expensive for me paying for veneers at 10. So.
That was my question for Ilya, so thank you.
Oh, yay! Awesome. Okay, cool. Do you guys want to do some improv stuff?
Let's do it.
Sweet. Okay, let me see on here some games that we can play in a short time. You know what? Let's do a couple rounds of this really quick game. Are you guys familiar with the dating game? Okay, well, I do a version of the Disney dating game. So if I can have 4 people up here. Yes. You come down here. Yes. Yes. And yes. Perfect. 4 gents. Okay. So, usually when I tried this the first time, it was an anime dating game, and it didn't work out because not everybody watches the same anime, but I found everybody knows Disney movies. So come on up here, guys. And yes, you get to pick, are you going to be a female character or a male character? So let me see where I saved all my things. Okay, who would like to be a would you like to be a female character or a male?
Oh no, this is Captain.
Perfect. Okay, female character.
Female character?
Perfect. Yeah, perfect.
Everyone else on male?
Everybody went male, yeah.
Oh, I'll make it into local female.
Look at this great individual.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Okay, so since we have one princess and well, I just gave it away, but we have to know who you are. So we have one princess looking for a date this evening. You guys can spread out a little bit just so you have some space. Would you like the chair, princess?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, so I'm going to give a little bit of intro, and then I'm going to ask some questions. Now, I love you so much. You're so great. This is exactly why we do improv, because it's yes and. I told him he was a princess. Look at this. So, we're here. You're going to find a date for this evening. You have 3 lovely suitors. You get to ask each of them a question to try to figure out who they are and then make your decision. But first we're going to find out a little bit about you so everybody can guess. So thank you guys so much for coming. This is our fantastic Disney dating game. Please give these lovely suitors and princess a round of applause. Guys, beating the Disney Pixar universe is really hard. There's a ton of characters. Sometimes people don't get along. Sometimes people live in different universes. So it's amazing that we were able to get all these people here today. Our lovely princess, please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're looking for.
Hello, I am Queen Elsa.
Yes, that's true. You are queen now.
Yes.
This is even more impressive.
Yes, I control whatever kingdom it is. That's it.
Look, you're the queen. You don't have to worry about where you live. It's your world. We're just living in it.
I have a tendency to freeze a lot of people, so do be aware of that.
Good to know. Good to know. That'll be very helpful for our suitors. So, is there anything that you would like to ask the first suitor?
Yes, if we break out and sing along, how is your singing voice?
Beautiful.
Well, what kind of
I think with a heroic voice like mine, it would probably have to be quite a lovely voice, you know.
Awesome. I mean, yes, that's all I do quite nicely.
And suitor number 2, how do you feel about sing-alongs? What would your voice sound like?
I'd say you've got to get hang on my no, you're having a crack. You have to be nominated. Well, I say one of the things with her is you'll find me very attractive.
Oh, you'll find him very attractive. That's always nice. Okay, wow. And what about you, suitor number 3?
I feel like I've got my brain here around here somewhere. Yeah, I wouldn't mind singing you, but yeah, being a pirate and all that, I wouldn't mind singing five songs or whatnot. I mean, if you're into pirates, that is perfectly fine.
Great. Okay. Lovely. It sounds like everybody's on board with the singing.
Yes.
Do you have another question for these 3 gentlemen?
Yes, if war suddenly broke out against our neighbours, how would you fare at controlling an army?
Well, I would much rather set my razor from stone to kill and fight myself than team up with others.
Given the amount of magic I got, it's just a simple wish to destroy your enemies.
Amazing. And what about you, sir?
Anything but the Kraken. I had a bad experience with one. Never again.
Very valid. I think we've all learned to stay away from krakens, so that's fair. And for your 3rd and final question before you have to make your decision, what else would you like to ask?
Okay, if I suddenly have one of my meltdowns, or should I say frozen downs, how would you be able to cope with the situation?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll give this is a very serious question, and suitor number 1 would like to have a little bit more time, which is very understandable. He is trying to win the favor of a queen here.
That shouldn't be a problem. After all, my little friend here, you can talk to him. He's very good with people and very disposable.
Oh, very loyal then.
Well,
I'm attractive.
And attractive. Yes.
You know what I'll do? I just grab my things, then and also the rum, grab the gold, then my crew, then the rum. I'll just travel through world's ends and spend the last time together for another 10 years.
Do you even know what you're saying?
So if you had a frozen down, that suitor number 3 would need a 10-year vacation just to sort it out. At least he's upfront about it. What about you? Do you have sort of an idea?
I think so, yes. I think I would be able to take you on a flight to infinity and beyond.
But I've got a kingdom to control.
You've also got a sister. She can help take over while you take a little vacation.
Did you see the last guy she tried to marry? I don't trust her at all.
You know what? That's a very valid point. I would hope she'd learned a little bit since then.
We're not talking about married issues. I missed out on my chance.
Right.
So do you have any idea who you would like to take out for this lovely first date?
Well, he's got very good plans for battle if the need comes. He seems to know what to do when I have one of my frozen downs. And he's very attractive.
Yes! Do you know who this mystery suitor is?
I'll find out over a nice dinner that I assume that you are paying for.
Amazing! So I'm so glad that you guys will live happily ever after. I would love for you guys to guess who these lovely suitors are. This is one of the best versions of the dating game that we've ever had. So, obviously you know, it's Queen Elsa. Who is suitor number 2? Yes, nice job! Suitor number 3? Yes, very good. And suitor number 1? Yeah, guys, well done. Nobody's ever guessed all of them. You guys were fantastic. We could do one more round if you guys want to do that again. Sweet, let's get some girls up here. Not that I don't love these gentlemen. Give them a round of applause. Awesome. Sure, come on up here. Fantastic. And Makoto. Okay. These are so nice.
I just want to go. I think down the left with the right side.
Okay, I'm going
It's kind of good to have some practice this week. That was like how well I had a date for you. So it's like, yeah, but this time I was asked to do questions. That was lovely.
Okay. Come on up here. And our lovely gentleman, if you want to take the chair. It sounds so terrible and scary. Welcome back to another episode of the Disney Dating Game. We have a whole new set of suitors and a lovely gentleman who wants a date. So it's going to be great. For our lovely gentleman, what are you looking for in a lady?
I'm looking for someone who could travel around and look out for each other as equals.
Perfect. That sounds fair. And would you like to ask a question for our first suitor?
Would you be okay with traveling around the world instead of staying in the same place?
Well, of course I would. Preferably the sea, but I would love to go anywhere.
Perfect.
No, I wouldn't really. I have an evil stepmother to run away from.
Yeah, I would love to travel around. If my mother let me. Oh my gosh, sounds like we've got some really protective mothers here. I'm so sorry. Do you have another question you'd like to ask these lovely ladies?
How would our wedding be?
Of course it would be seafoam blue, but I don't mind a little misty, maybe?
Oh, definitely white. Obviously.
It would be really extravagant with my little friends in tow.
Extravagant with little friends in tow. Well, you did say that you wanted everybody to be treated as equals, so she wants her friends to be a part of the wedding. Is that a problem? Lovely.
So I also have a female friend who comes around on adventures sometimes with her.
Oh, yes, with Bullseye.
But yeah. So, would that be okay?
It's also very important. You can't have the friend be jealous of the new girlfriend. That's very fair.
Of course, as long as I can bring my little henchman with me. Of course, I love to befriend strangers.
We could probably make dresses together.
Well, that's nice.
And dress my little friend up as well.
Aww. Do Do you have any idea who these ladies might be, or who you might want to take out on a date, or do you need another question or two?
I think I know.
You do? Okay.
Maybe lady number 3.
Lady number 3. Do you know who lady number 3 might be?
Maybe Snowflake.
Close. Do you guys know who lady number 3 might be?
Cinderella.
Oh, that is a good guess.
Sleeping Beauty.
Rapunzel, yeah, it is Rapunzel. Very good. Did you guys know who lady number 2 was?
Cinderella.
I think somebody said it over here. No, not Cinderella. Snow White, yes. And lady number 1?
Ariel.
Yeah, nice job. Did you guys know who our suitor was? Yes.
Aladdin.
Not Aladdin.
Woody.
Woody, yeah. Great job, guys. That was fantastic. Well, I hope that Rapunzel and Woody live happily ever after. I'm not really sure how that is going to work, but we can maybe get a Rapunzel doll that can come live with you at Annie's house. Thank you, guys. That was so awesome. Give them a round of applause. Woo! Okay. Let's see. We might be able to do one round of a game called Pillars. If you'd like to do that, I will need 4 people up here. Yes in hat. Yes in Neptune cosplay. Yes with the bandana. And anybody who has not gone yet. Yes, come on up here. Okay, so 2 of you will stand in the center of the stage. 2 of you will stand on the edge of the stage right here. So we'll have 1 in the corner right here. Perfect. Just stand up right there. And then you guys will be in the center. So the way Pillars works, this is a very fun game that we used to do. Have you guys played Pillars before?
Nope.
So you guys will be getting a scene. We'll give you a relationship and a location. You guys will create the scene. So let's say I am playing Pokemon Go with my brother. And I'm playing Pokemon Go, walking around. I'm like, yeah, it's really fun. We always love playing Pokemon Go, but wow, that is really terrifying. Brother says, what is it? I don't know. And it's up to you to fill in the blank. And you can say whatever pops in your mind. If the first thing that pops in your mind is blueberry pancake, it doesn't matter that I just said it's terrifying. It's a blueberry pancake. There's a blueberry pancake. It's terrifying that somebody did not eat that. It's perfect blueberry pancake lying there on the ground. We did this improv game once, and somebody was talking about animals, and then suddenly it became a car dealership for animals. So it was just like Zootopia. So things that did not make sense totally make sense because that's improv. So the only thing that I ask is set them up before you give them a quick suggestion. So if somebody said, what are you doing today? Don't go, tell them, what are you doing today? Well, I thought I would go to the park and eat lobster. Eat lobster. I'm gonna eat lobster in the park. And just go with it that way. So set them up to just give a 1 or 2 word suggestion. And you can switch suggestions. And no pressure. It's fun. It's improv. We have no idea what to expect, and it's gonna be great. So, can I get a relationship for these 2 lovely individuals? Yes.
Brother and sister.
Brother and sister. Perfect. And where are they?
Spaceship.
Spaceship. Brother and sister in space. I love it. Okay. Go for it. The floor is yours. I'm going to give you this mic.
So how did we get here?
That is a very good question. I assume that we went up in a rocket.
I mean, I did wonder how we ended up here, but I mean, it does make sense. We did wander into... it must have been like we DeLorean as well, because it just took off and there we went.
Well, you know, sometimes stuff happens. Maybe we drove through a portal, or maybe we...
We suddenly got under attack by Martians.
And that would explain why they took us to space.
Of course, we stole one of their ships and we're fighting back. That was the only way to make sense. We have to fire the...
Cars.
catapults on the top of the ship. Quick, get up there and fire them now. I don't know how we're going to cut the string though. I mean, why don't you use a
ship?
Well, if it works, it works. I mean, some ships maybe it has a spike at the end to cut it right.
I mean, we could try something else. I mean, even if that doesn't work, we still have the... Down in the cargo hold full of xenomorph facehuggers, we just lower the Martians down there and that makes the problem worse, doesn't it?
Well, maybe if the eggs are expired, we can give them food poisoning, or unless it has a side effect such as...
rabies? Well, it's a good thing we've all had our immunizations, and like, if nothing else, it can always cause... Which is a shame, because we've run clean out of. That was actually useful. I mean, I'm still wearing yours, are you wearing mine?
Of course, always.
Perfect, that'll be the end of the scene. So, that was awesome, you guys.
That was good. You guys, that was fantastic. Really, really great job. So, one thing that I loved about their scene is, like, they started saying things that you're like, that doesn't make any sense, but by the end of it, weren't you guys like, okay, this is the world we live in. That makes a lot of sense. We've got alien facehuggers downstairs that might have rabies, and that's a whole nother issue that we don't want to deal with. So that was a terrifying world that you guys created. I loved it so much, and I loved how fearless you guys were. You didn't take a moment and go, that's not an answer. If anything, you kind of made one of the pillars turn into, I felt like it was a computer in the spaceship, where you're like, that was actually useful. Thank you, Siri computer from the future. So that was awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming. I think that is that the end of the panel? 6:01. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for coming and asking questions and for playing with me and doing some improv. I hope you guys had fun. And if you jumped on stage and were super brave and fearless and were ready to go with the flow, I commend you. That's really, really scary. And you guys all did a fantastic job. And if you want to do that, and you want to do more improv, I know there's places here in the UK where you can. And if you want to do that again tomorrow, I can do more improv at the end of my panel. So those of you who did not get on stage can play again, if you guys would like to do that. Sweet. Thank you again. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you. This was such a fun day.
Thank you, Cherami Leigh. Big round of applause, everybody. Come on, I know you can do better than that.
They did so great. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, well, that is the end of our day. As Cherami said, it is 6:01. We are 1 minute over, and can everybody please leave the building? I know it's sudden, but get the hell out of our car and come back tomorrow, of course. We want your little money. Have a good evening. Enjoy the after party. Be sensible and be good and kind to each other. Good night.